They say toys are harmless. But what if one waits for the darkness to become something else? Lucas was 8 years old when he got the teddy bear. It was a gift from his aunt, wrapped in silver paper with a red bow. His name is Buttons, she said with a smile. He'll keep you company at night. Buttons had shiny black eyes. One was slightly chipped. His fur was matted in strange places, like it had been used before. Far too used for a toy that was supposed to be new. Lucas didn't complain. He placed Buttons on his bed beside the pillow, hoping for comfort. That night, Lucas woke to a sound, a faint creak. Barely audible, but enough to stir him. Buttons had moved. He was no longer by the pillow. He was sitting, upright, on the edge of the bed, facing the wall. Lucas blinked. Maybe he'd rolled over and knocked him. Maybe it was nothing. He pushed Buttons back and went to sleep. At breakfast, he told his mom. Teddy moved last night. She laughed. Maybe he got bored of lying still. She didn't believe him. That night, Lucas tucked Buttons beside him and shut his eyes early. But something stirred him awake at 3:12 a.m. The air was icy, the kind of cold that didn't feel natural. Buttons was gone. Not on the bed, not on the floor. Lucas's eyes darted to the corner. There he was, standing upright, facing the wall, frozen in place. Lucas sat up, throat dry, and then, slowly, Buttons turned around. His eyes, no longer dull plastic, looked wet and alive. His stitched mouth seemed looser, as though it had tried to open. Lucas shut his eyes. When he dared to look again, Buttons was back on the bed, right next to his face. The next morning, Lucas found 3 thin scratches on his arm. They stung when water hit them. His mother blamed the cat, or maybe sleepwalking. You've always had wild dreams. But Lucas knew he wasn't dreaming. On the 3rd night, Lucas stayed awake with the lights on. He set up a flashlight by his pillow and watched the bear. Around midnight, the bulb flickered, then died. Darkness, and then, laughter, high-pitched, childlike. It came from beneath the bed. Lucas leaned over, holding his breath, and looked under. Buttons was there, lying sideways, eyes staring straight up at him. And then he crawled out, slowly, on all fours. His movements were stiff. His fabric creaked. His mouth sagged open. Inside, the stuffing squirmed as if something lived beneath it. Lucas tried to scream, but no sound came. And suddenly, Buttons was gone. The next morning, his mother asked why he was curled up in the hallway. He didn't answer. Buttons was sitting on his pillow again, smiling. On the 4th night, Lucas placed a camera at the foot of the bed. He needed proof. The next morning, the footage made his skin crawl. At exactly 2:59 a.m., Buttons twitched. Then he sat up, slowly climbed down from the bed and walked toward the closet. He stopped, and turned to face the camera, held the stare, and then vanished into the shadows. But when Lucas showed his mom the memory card, it was blank. The files were gone. She told him to stop lying, that he needed rest. But Lucas knew what he saw. That night, Lucas stuffed Buttons in a freezer bag, wrapped it in 3 more, and locked it in the deep freezer in the garage. He stayed up, waiting, watching, until 4:44 a.m. A loud thud echoed from downstairs. Lucas crept into the kitchen. The freezer was open. Ice mist curled in the air. The plastic bags were torn apart, and Buttons sat on the counter, frozen fur damp and dripping. His mouth had completely torn open. Inside were rows of tiny, jagged teeth. On the wall behind him, scrawled in something dark, were the words, "Don't lock me away." After that, Lucas never slept again. His parents said he was sick, that he needed therapy, that he was imagining things. But they never saw Buttons move. They never heard the laughter. They never found the teeth under his pillow. Because in the daylight, Buttons is just a teddy bear. But when night falls, he becomes something else. Something that watches. Something that waits. And if you ever get a teddy bear with one eye and a stitched smile, don't sleep with it. Don't turn your back on it. And never, ever, try to lock it away. It always comes back.